Still on that, and I wanted to get your thoughts as well, because the GRC system is such that a Malay or an Indian is typically elected because he or she is Malay or Indian, right? And he or she is expected to represent the Malay and Indian communities. But the Malay and Indian candidate is elected by Chinese,
Everyone.
essentially.
Yeah.
Mostly Chinese, majority Chinese. So the majority of the constituents that you are elected by is not the constituents that you are supposed to serve. So in the sense that minority MPs have two constituents. So you as ministers, you have three constituents. You serve the entire country as a minister. You serve Jalan Besar or Mulmin Kalang, right? Kolamai as your MP. But you serve the Muslim community, Malay community as a Malay MP.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? Because, and I think I never saw the balance, or I never knew where the line was. On one hand, you are supposed to be Malay. On the other hand, you cannot be too Malay.
No, I think first of all, the GRC system was not created so that there is a Malay to represent the Malay community. I think the GRC system was created to allow minority representation in parliament, so that our parliament reflects our society, right? That's the logic. And as you rightly pointed out, as an idea, it is definitely something that we can support, because we do want our parliament to reflect our society, right? So that there's a balance of different communities in parliament. So that's the first thing. What I do personally, and I think what other Malay PAP MPs do for the Malay community, is because we are part of the community and the community expects us to help them in one way or the other, right? So in my case, of course, it was slightly different because I have the title of Minister of Muslim Affairs.
Right.
So every Muslim in Singapore is part of my responsibility in terms of the laws governing them and so on and so forth. So I think by and large, based on my own observation, 23 years, I think all the PAP Malay MPs have actually, in fact, done quite well in terms of balancing that. So you look at the Hansard and look at the questions raised by, like, say, Mr. Saktiandi or Mr. Zainal Sapari or Dr. Intan, Mr. Rahayu and all that. The range of questions raised across the whole spectrum, not just on Malay community, right? If anything, they raised a lot of Malay issues only during the budget debate, only because there is a segment on Muslim affairs, right? So I think that balancing act is all right. And when we go out, you're absolutely right. We do have the added constituency. So, you know, we have to attend Malay functions, we go to Malay organizations, not because we have to, but we want to also, because whether or not we attend or not, they are still voters. They are still part of the constituency. They're still part of the Singapore framework, Singapore fabric, you see. So I don't see that as a problem, but it is, of course, an added burden for all of us. But I would gladly tell you that all of my colleagues, when I was in Parliament, you know, they look forward to it. They don't see this as a challenge. And I think being close to the Malay community helps us also to have ears on the ground to understand what the needs of the concern of the community. And I can be honest here, when I was minister, when I do receive certain feedback from the Malay ground, which I think requires the attention of our senior leaders, I bring it to their attention, right? That's my job. So, you know, we need to alert what is going on, what is unhappiness, and so on and so forth, so that senior leaders can decide whether there needs a policy change or something needs to be done. So for my 16 years as Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs, I make it a point to make sure that I always brief our senior leaders so that they don't understand what the Malay community is going through, what are the challenges. So by and large, I think it's not a problem so far.